2, 1. Okay, so we are doing our first metaphysical table talk of the year of 2023. This was a goal of mine for 6 to 8 months. I forgot to introduce the podcast. So welcome to 2 Inches Off the Ground for Metaphysical Self-Help. When you are enlightened, you live your life 2 inches off the ground. And so I wanted to have this forum that I'm going to put on video. So if you're watching on YouTube, yay, that means I was able to get it on YouTube. So I'm proud of myself. But yeah, I wanted to have this forum where I would just pick, no, I take that back. Source picks a metaphysical topic for me, and then I discuss it with 2 highly metaphysical humans. Now, these 2 people you're seeing or listening to are, yes, they eat. I've seen one of them eat in person. They breathe, they walk, they talk, but they are some of the most highly metaphysical humans I have ever met. I have learned so much from both of them. I respect them to the highest degree. I have to say, we will talk about their services later. I have used both of their services multiple times to learn, to grow, to expand my metaphysical journey. I cannot say enough about the 2 of them. They don't know who each other is. So I'm about to announce who they are. And I'm just excited to see their reaction. So I would like to introduce my first guest, who is Delsol Etienne. And Delsol Etienne is our resident light language healer. So Tracie, he was from the really popular episode on light language, if you remember that.
I do.
And yes, and he is known for heart consciousness and breaking down the barriers of the heart. And I have done heart activations with Delsol, and they have helped me so much. Welcome, Delsol.
Thank you, Jay. It is a pleasure and an honor to be here. What a way to start the new year off with something new that we talked about last year. So it is a pleasure and an honor to be here. I'm excited to meet
this unknown guest. Yes. So let me introduce guest number 2. This beautiful lady sitting in front of you is named Tracie Shannon. And Delsol, if you remember, she's one of also 2 of the most popular episodes on animal communication, and also Tracie channels a multi-dimensional being. So I don't know if you remember those episodes, but that's Tracie. And I know her in real life. We know each other in real life. So that's kind of cool too. And Tracie is also really good at taking away those old beliefs that you may have, especially with highly intuitive people, breaking down those old beliefs and bringing in the new and really activating who you are as an intuitive person and why you're on this earth. So welcome, Tracie Shannon.
Thank you. And thank you so much for that warm introduction. And I truly appreciate the compliment. It's been a joy working with you, Jennifer. And Delsol, yeah, I remember listening to your podcast. It was amazing. So it's so exciting to be here with both of you.
Yes,
Yay.
It is.
So I wanted this energy together. And you guys, just so you know, when I thought of this idea 6 to 8 months ago, I said to myself, the 2 people I want are Tracie Shannon and Delsol Etienne, and I want them matched up. And as I went through the months, no one else I could think of. I wanted you guys. I was hoping it was going to be a New Year's thing. And so I'm really excited that it worked out. And I'm just really honored that you're here. So let's get started. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Sounds great.
Okay. All right. So here's what happened. I decided, well, it was really funny. So last night I'm trying to access both of your energy, and I think Delsol felt it, but around 10 p.m. I'm trying to access both of your energies, and I did get a good feeling and a good energy, but Source refused to tell me what the topic was today. I was hoping to get it last night. Source was saying no. Source guided me, do some human Google searches and Instagram and all that. And I did that. And one topic stood out in my mind, and I'm going to read it to you. And then I want to just riff on it, see what you guys think, because for me, it's a very, very big theme for the new year. So here we go. I'm going to read it to you. I'm going to read it to you twice. I align with my vibration to the energy, and so it simply flows to me. I align with my vibration to the energy, and so it simply flows to me. Who would like to start?
Go ahead, Tracy.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that's such a powerful statement in and of itself, because I think it's about where I want to be as a human and as a quantum being, a multidimensional being. There have been studies that from scientists who are finding that we do have multidimensional parts of us within our human 3D physicality. So aligning with the higher vibrations of the quantum is the way I'm hearing this. And I love it because as we raise our vibration, we tune into the source energy. And that's where we all come from. And as I raise my vibration and I tune into that amazing energy, it's incredible how my life just starts to flow. And I have these incredible circumstances and people like the two of you sitting in front of me now, coming into my awareness, not only to confirm for me that I am in the process of raising my vibration, but also it's a message to me that I'm clearing away what no longer serves me in order to make room for the amazing opportunities that exist within the potential of the energy. So it's such a deep and incredibly profound topic, and I love working with my vibration. I love working with other people's vibration, and it's so much fun to see what ebbs and flows. And I still get caught up in all the frustration and the anxiety of why isn't this coming to me and what do I have to do differently? And so it's interesting also being an observer of my own frequency and watching what I'm pulling in and what I'm pushing away. It's a constant journey of learning every single day, every day. And it's amazing. I can now say I wouldn't have it any other way. I wouldn't have said that years ago, but now I can say I wouldn't have that any other way because of the incredible experiences that I've been having.
Can you name one incredible experience?
Yeah, so this past summer I went on this cross-country trip, and it was something that I've never done. Other than the first 4 days, I did it by myself. I had no idea what to expect. I reached out to friends and family and said, this is what I'm going to be doing. And everybody said, yes, come and stay. And it was something that had been in my awareness for 4 years. And I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how to put it together. And I started my journey on June 6th, and it all came together in literally 4 weeks. So it was in the energy. I wasn't right in the right place, in the right frame of mind to do it for those 4 years. And suddenly something clicked. And I just said, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I had my places planned out, but I didn't really have the time frame planned out. So every single day I woke up having no idea what to expect. Absolutely no idea what was going to be presented to me or how. And so this journey was 3.5 months long. So it was incredible. I learned so much about myself. And so I would say that is one big piece of my journey that I was able to manifest because I was able to align my energy in the right place and sit with the fear when it came in and really take a look at allowing myself to feel into the fact that maybe it wasn't something I was afraid of, more so the vulnerability of not knowing what to expect and whether or not I was going to be able to handle what was coming in. So I would say, in short, that was a huge manifestation for me.
And there was a lot of flow in that too. There was a lot of flow because Delsol, I watch Tracie's journey in a sense because we kept in contact. And, you know, she's like, okay, I'm going here, but then here I have a little hiccup. So then I'm, you know, what's the word? Retracking to here, you know, repositioning here. So it really is a lesson in going with the flow the best you can. So I thought that was cool part of your journey. So Delsol, please take it away. Can you top that?
I don't know.
I'm kidding. It's not a competition.
When we stay in vibration, it is like Tracie said, the ebb and flow. And I've learned over the years how to remain in the flow, that everything is constantly changing as quantum beings, as multidimensional beings. Everything is being related to us or relayed to us in such a way that as soon as you think you got the answer, it'll change. And you have to be ready to change on a dime, looking at various perspectives. I like the saying is, no matter where you go, there you are. And there's always something there for you in the present moment, for you to see, for you to witness, for you to observe, for you to partake in. And we take that information into us, and that changes our trajectory in such a way that we could never imagine. Just like when Tracie is on her journey and she planned this 3-month excursion, things change. Things change for a reason, for her to explore, for her to expand and relate, so she can continue to raise that vibration as I do in my everyday world. I work in retail, and whenever I go in the office, I never know what to expect. There's always someone that comes through the door that may or may not need my assistance, that may just need a shoulder to cry on or to expand or release, or I may have certain words for that individual to say, to absorb for a later time. As you know, I speak fluent light language, or my language, I call it my ancient language, and I don't hold back, because holding back would keep me from being in the flow. We all have messages for everyone that we meet on our journey. And those messages come in the form of pictures, sayings, words. Mine often comes in the form of my language or my ancient dialect. So whenever I get that opportunity, or the opportunity presents itself, it's very profound. And after it takes place, I say to myself, like, I never saw that coming. And that individual leaves with that profound saying that, wow, I needed to feel that, or I needed to hear that, to ensure that they're not alone. And it is a great saying that we are not alone. We're all walking each other home. No matter where we go, there we are on this journey, in this ebb and flow, to stay in the flow at all times. And it is a testament to me and my family that whenever we go out, Dad's gonna meet someone that pulls him away from the family for maybe 10 or 15 minutes. And my family is used to that. And they too have learned to be in the flow, as to, you never know what's gonna happen when we go out.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that about, I think you were telling me there was a man who had asked you a question. I can't remember what the question was, but you talked to him for 2 hours. You were at lunch or something, and you talked to the man for 2 hours. Can you tell us that story? That was a good story. If you can remember. I know, there's so many stories.
This was actually in Coco. My son, I think it was on spring break, and I took him to
Cocoa Beach,
lunch.
Florida, for those of you that don't know. Go ahead.
Yes, Cocoa Beach, Florida. Sorry.
We have international listeners, so I just want them to know.
I took him to lunch for a spring break, and it was a restaurant. I forgot the name of it. The Green Room Cafe. And we just sitting there having lunch, and there was two individuals that were directly, probably about 3 tables across from me. And we were just sitting there, and then this one gentleman was just staring at me intensely. And I'm saying to myself, "Is like, is there something wrong? Am I wearing something different?" So I yelled, I was like, "Hi, how are you doing?" And he was like, "There's something about you. I can't take my eyes off of you." Not to me
That's
in
it.
a bad way. So I was like, I invited him over. I was like, "Hey, why don't you just come over and sit?" And as soon as he sat down, he began telling me he was from California, and that he was over here on vacation. And I could tell that he was going through some stuff with his partner. But he was also inquiring why my energy was drawing him to me and where he recognized me from, even though he had never met me. And I looked at him and I was like, "You sure you don't remember me?" And then I spoke to him and he was like, "That voice sounds familiar." I was like, "It should, because this is not our first time meeting." And then it hit him that everything that he thought, he was now becoming aware of his expansiveness that he was beginning to experience. And 2 hours later, he hugged me. He didn't want to let me go. And we exchanged numbers. We send each other messages every now and then. And just a reminder that no matter where you go, there you are. You have to be there. And that's being in the flow. It assisted me in such a way that I was like, wow, there are so many people out there who are doubting themselves or what they're experiencing and think they're going crazy. And we as beings, quantum, multidimensional beings, are here to reassure these individuals like, no, this is part of the journey. And no, you're not alone. What you're experiencing is just the beginning, and there's so much more to you that you're going to experience. And don't be afraid to look for the answers. Here's my number. If you have questions, shoot me a message or call me. I'm always here, no matter what. And when that happens, it's like I've expanded. I'm like, whoa, what's that happening? And I can feel my energy just growing, growing, growing. And it's like, okay, that was just a profound. And then I go home, I tell my wife, and she's like, "I'm not surprised. This always happens with you."
It always happens with you. I know. You always tell me these stories. Tracie, does that happen with you as well, where strangers will come up to you, ask you questions? I'm just curious because you're a very different personality than Delsol. So I'm just curious about that.
Yeah, no, that doesn't happen to me very often.
Neither me.
It's funny. It's usually me who's putting myself out there. First of all, Delsol, I love that story, and I just want to say I love the fact that you are so unafraid to be yourself, and I just love the fact that you're in retail and with the work that you do, because in retail you're selling people things in order to help them look different and change, and you're doing that in your spiritual life too. So it's so cool how they're connected. I love that story. No,
Thank you.
like I said, I'm the one who's usually reaching out to people, and sometimes it's strange the way it happens. It was last month. I had my dog in the back of my car and I went to get coffee, and I stopped at the coffee shop, and this woman pulled up next to me, and I was backed in and she pulled straight in. So our driver's side doors were right next to each other. And she just had this really hard look on her face. And my dog Jasper looked over and barked. And I thought, God, that's really interesting. He usually doesn't bark when, people pull up next to me. So I got out, I went in and I got my coffee, and it was taking a long time to put everything together and get out the door. And as I was leaving to go out the door, I noticed that she was in front of me and she held the door. And I said, "Thank you." I said, "This has just been one of those days." And she looked at me and she said, "Yesterday was one of those days for me." And so I got to my car and something said, "You need to talk to her." So I said, "Excuse me, do you have a minute?" And she said, "Yeah." And I said, "I usually don't do this, but let me put my coffee down. There's someone who wants to meet you." And so I opened the back door and I pulled my dog out, and he's this little toy poodle who's about 6 pounds. And she just was so overjoyed with him and petting him and in his face. And he was so excited to see her. And she was just going on about how beautiful he was and how sweet. And I said, "I don't know what it was, but you pulled up and he barked, and he never does that. So he really wanted to meet you." And she got right down in his face and she said, "Thank you so much for seeing me." And I thought, wow, did not see that coming.
Well, I think you're both talking about the same thing, but in different ways. I think you're both. Delsol, I'm going to steal one of your sayings. So this is one of Delsol's big sayings. Is I think you both answered the call.
Yes.
Right? Would you? Yeah.
That is
so.
correct. That is correct.
Yeah.
So
I
when
think.
you
Go ahead, please.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, please.
It's on you, Delsol.
When we are put in these situations, the energy moves us in such a way that we can't ignore it. That if we do, there's going to be some repercussions, then the flow changes, and then you'll forever have that on your mind. When the gifts that we have and we embody, when we show up fully in ourselves, in our totality, it presents opportunities for us to enhance other people's lives in such a way that they're calling out for it. And for example, it's just like I was at work. There was a young lady and she was like, "I have a headache." And I'm like, "Can you please drink some water? Your body's crying out, screaming at me to drink some water." And she looked at me. She was like, "I was just thinking of water." I was like, "Yes, go please drink some water." So it is that intuitive thought when we dial in to the flow. It's kind of like a circular energy, and it's within our energetic field, and we have to react because it's our responsibility to lead the way for others, to show them, to relieve that angst of stress, that angst of pressure, or just, as Tracie does, put a smile on their face to let them know that they are being seen and it's okay to step forward, be seen, show up, and show love for a complete stranger. But in reality, it's no stranger because we've known each other for eons.
Yeah.
So that's the way of just looking at it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Tracie, you have anything to add?
I completely agree with that 100%. It's mind-boggling to me how when we are so open to the energy and the flow and where we're meant to be, it's not necessarily where we want to be, but where we're meant to be, how we show up because someone else just needs a little bit of assistance. And for me, relating to what Delsol said, it's not always about the money either. It's about showing up and being of service whenever and wherever we're needed. And that small act of saying, maybe you need some water, was so beautiful because we have no idea how the other person is going to react. Inside, people may be going, "Oh my gosh, it's so nice." Like you said, Delsol, it's so nice to be seen and it's so nice to be heard and tended to. I think there's so much going on in the world right now that when someone is seen and heard and tended to, it's incredible how much brighter and softer they become.
I love how you say that, tended to, because I agree with social media now. A lot of us are not tended to or cared for, or it's a lot of superficial bullshit, to be quite honest. So, you know what I mean? So it's like, I mean, what's a like? I mean, yes, from you or from Tracie or Delsol, I get a like on something. That's great. And I know these people personally, so I really value that. But then, sometimes you're like, with all due respect, I don't even know you. So what does that mean? You know what I mean? Are you flipping through and just scrolling through and just pressing like or not? So I like the idea of that in person being tended to, because I think we need a lot more of that. And I also think that you, both of you, Tracie and Delsol, being the leaders you are in the metaphysical community, you are good at recognizing that in your different personalities and also in your different spaces, because you're both very different people. I wanted you on because I both think of you as highly metaphysical, as I just said, leaders, but you do it in very different ways. I've taken workshops from Tracie. I know her personally. I've been to her home. Last time we got together, Tracie, in person, we talked for 3 hours. We were sitting on a park bench talking for 3 hours, if you remember that, right? Mm-hmm. And then Delsol, when we get together, it's the same thing online. It's, we just keep talking and talking, and I could talk to you guys all day, but you're very different people. And I think something that you both do well is I want to say this the right way. You utilize the human aspect of your personalities to attract what you need to attract, and also to lead metaphysically and help the people that need to be helped. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's the compassionate factor that we generate from within. And to use that, to see that, sometimes just to be an observer, I at first never used to like to put myself in other people's shoes. I could never do it because that emotional and that vulnerability comes in. When you learn to adapt and utilize that, you develop compassion for others, but more so for yourself. So when we're put in a position to assist others, we're actually assisting ourselves, because a lot of the messages that we convey, it's inherently for us as well. So we, in tune, are taking part of that lesson and understanding that, okay, I needed to hear that as well. And this individual needed to hear that, or you needed to experience that. I needed to experience that emotion so I can open up more and tend to myself in a better way that will allow me to remain in the flow of things. Because next time an opportunity comes like that, I'll recognize it and a solution will present itself.
Yeah. Tracie, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I completely agree with that 100%. Healing work, the healing work that we do, it really starts with us, because if I don't do the work on myself, and there were a lot of times where I didn't want to do the work on myself, I just wanted to help other people fix themselves. And I felt like there was something missing, but I had no idea what that was. And as I started going into my own healing work and started having more compassion for myself, more grace within myself, and forgiving myself for all those things that I felt I couldn't show up for, I found that I was moving through the world with a little bit more compassion and a little bit more understanding and openness. So when I did show up for people in that way, it was such a huge difference in terms of our connection, our vibration, the information and messages that were coming through. So I agree with Delsol. It's like every single person that shows up in my life, good, bad, or indifferent, is not only a version of myself, but it's also information for me, and another piece that I have to look at, or another piece that I have to realize no longer serves me and let that go. So as I continue my healing journey, it just increases my frequency exponentially. And as that happens, the healing in myself happens, the healing in other people happens. And when I do my work now, I can literally step out of the way completely, forget everything that was said, because it doesn't come from me, but it comes through me. And it's such a blessing to sit with those people where I can realize, okay, this is coming from me. And I have actually said to people, all right, my ego's getting kicked up here. Let me just sit for a moment and let it do its thing and run its mouth so that I can get back to the present moment. So yeah, it's an incredible opportunity every single time I interact with someone.
I want to talk about what you just said about ego, but I first want to talk about, now I said this was going to be 20 minutes. We're on 30 minutes. It's going to be a little longer. Are we okay with that?
Yep.
I'm fine. I'm good.
Okay, good.
Tracie?
As long as you have, Tracie, you're good? Okay.
All good.
So, because you're bringing up such valid points, and especially for starting the new year, I want people to hear this conversation, and I don't want to leave anything open-ended. So the two things I think you both touched on, as Delsol was saying and Tracie continued, was compassion. But I also want to say compassion with yourself as well. I want to definitely stress that, because I think in this new year, you should be open to surprises. And sometimes compassion allows for that. I had a surprise this morning, and I'm going to tell you what happened, that I was like, oh, that's so cool. And that helps with my book, and it's a big confirmation and blah, blah, blah. So I went on this podcast, I don't know, 8 months ago, and I pitched this podcast. At one point, they were the #1 pop culture podcast in the world. They are usually number 2 or 3 ranked globally. They're that big. It's just in case anyone wants to know, the Hollywood Raw podcast. And so I have this side of me where I'm supposed to be this really metaphysical person, but I'm really into pop culture. I like it. I find it interesting. I find it fun. I find it entertaining. I find it lighthearted. So as a metaphysical person, you're not supposed to be that, right? Like, I'm supposed to be the person that's, sitting in a field and praying to something and burning my whatever and doing ayahuasca and psilocybins and all this kind of shit, right? So, but what, Tracie, you know her. She's probably going to listen to this. So shout out to our friend Rachel, who hopefully will come on at one point. But I told our friend Rachel that, which Tracie, I think you'll agree with me. She's like above and beyond highly metaphysical as well. Mm-hmm. And she said to me, Jen, but you're bringing that energy into that space. And that's a good thing. So you're bringing that metaphysical energy into the pop culture space. And I said, okay, that's kind of cool. And I never thought of it that way. So anyway, I go on the podcast. The episode does really, really well, which surprised me. I talked about my experiences being a corporate flight attendant, which is someone who flies on private jets with the rich and famous. I did that for 6 years. So I went on that podcast. It went extremely well. Really happy about it. That was 8 months ago. I use it to pitch my book. When I went to a conference, had to pitch my book, which is about the same topic, to agents and editors. I, use that, the whole thing. This morning, I found out that my episode was one of the best episodes, most listened to episodes and watched episodes of the year, which shocked me, because they have on celebrities, they have on all these reality stars, they have on people who are way more popular than me, way more, known. And so I was shocked by that. And, I can use that clip now for, submitting to agents and editors and all this kind of stuff. And I was really, 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 really excited. But I think that came as a surprise. And I wanted that to happen when I heard they were doing the best of the year. I'm like, I hope this happens. But I wasn't, thinking it was going to happen. But I was just kind of open with this, to that surprise. And I was going with the flow. I wasn't pushing it. I wasn't like, oh my God, what can I do to make this happen? How can I do this? How can I do that? How can I promote it? It wasn't anything like that. I just made it. I didn't make it happen, but I just went with the flow. So that's something that I'm learning to do. And it's not easy for me. The second thing I want to talk about and then I'm going to let Delsol and Tracie talk, is ego. Tracie, I thank you for bringing that up, because Tracie talked about in her episode how ego has to rise with us. So it's not ego's, oh my gosh, ego is so bad, ego is terrible. Well, ego has to rise to meet us, and we have to have compassion for ego. And Tracie, that's what your multidimensional being had told you, right? Had told you from source. So I thought that was really fascinating. And something that I learned in 2022 that I am now bringing into 2023, I just talked about it yesterday with my chiropractor, that let me tell you something. 2022, when I was feeling better, I have an autoimmune disease called ulcerative colitis. I had a life-threatening flare 2021. I was feeling a hell of a lot better in 2022. And I was like, I conquered this. I've got this. This is easy. These people who live with this, they don't know what they're talking about. I've conquered this whole thing. Well, guess what? I started to have a flare again. And I realized that I guess you could say, negative part of ego, I had to put aside. And that was a real kicker to my ego. You know, I was like, oh, I thought I did this. I conquered it. I know everything. I don't know everything. I have to go back to basics. I had, be honest with you guys, New Year's Eve, was it? Yeah, New Year's Eve to New Year's Day was not good for me. I had the worst migraine I've had in years. I haven't had a migraine in years. I had a lot of symptoms come back. I was really sick. I hardly got out of bed for 2 days. So, yeah, so that was a real, kick to me too. So also, you know, being open to those surprises and realizing that, yeah, you think you know everything. You think you learned everything. You think because you're metaphysical, you know better than everyone else. Guess what, kids? You don't. And, like you guys were saying, I think Delsol, you were saying in retail, you wake up every day and it's something different. It's something different. And that's something that I have to get used to in my own body. And I'm trying to, you know, align with my own vibration and figure out how to solve this and do it so I'm not stressing myself out and being pushy. And I'm, you know, trying to go with the flow, but it's hard. So anyway, whoever would like to comment.
Go ahead, Tracie.
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah, it's okay. What happened, what I'm getting is that from my experience with my mind and my body, you know, we are taught to think, react, and respond a certain way to internal influences, external influences. And so we're taught that. And the body is constantly talking to us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so we learn this one way of listening to it and responding to it. And as we begin to drop those old ways of communication and start to have a more gentle conversation with our bodies and what's around us and in us, I think that we find there really is no positive or negative to what we're experiencing. Everything is simply providing information and providing an opportunity for us to learn and grow and maybe revisit something that hasn't been totally healed within us. And when the negative thinking comes in around a certain situation that we're experiencing with our bodies, it's just that there's another level of healing that has to take place. You know, with you, Jennifer, you went through this incredible healing process and you
saw it.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
You saw it in person.
Yeah.
Delsol, she saw it in person.
Yeah, it was not a fun place for you to be at all.
I was not cute at that time.
No, but you learned a lot about yourself and your resilience. And you said to these doctors, I am not going to go down the traditional route. And you didn't. And you worked with other people to help you heal yourself in a more holistic way. So you have all of this incredible energy and information and wisdom within you. And you did all of this healing. And through that healing, you made room for another piece to surface over New Year's Eve and day. You made room for another piece to surface that just needs some more tending to. And that's all it is. Again, it's just information and an opportunity to grow and learn and understand what's coming up and have a different conversation with yourself and your energy.
Delsol, before you respond, I just want to add something. Something I'm trying to do as well, Tracie, just what you're saying, and I loved, again, going back to the tending to in 2023 for me is acceptance. But 2022, I was so stubborn about it. I was like, oh no, I have this autoimmune disease, and I even have a podcast about it, but I don't really have it. I don't really have it. I've conquered it. No, I really have it, and it's something that's not curable, and I have it for life. So I think there is something where I was telling my chiropractor yesterday where I have to accept that, and I still haven't quite accepted it, and I'm now starting to accept it. So please, Delsol.
Accepting is a huge part of it. And just like everything Tracie said, the minute we heal in layers, and every time a new layer surfaces, it gives us more time and more freedom to really look introspectively at that particular item that needs healing. And we dive into and we become experts at that particular item that needs healing. So to say that we're completely healed would be like, yeah, we've reached a new level of vibration where we don't need to eat food. We just exist as pure energy. But we
That's
haven't
my dream.
attained that. That's all of our dreams.
No, that's
but
really my dream.
We haven't gotten to that point yet. And just like Tracie said, our bodies talks to us in signals, information, and it's constant sending information to us. And the way we interpret it, we do have to allow the ego to step aside and say, hey, this is an acceptance. And we can partner with the ego, dive in, feel into, and listen to what the body is requiring to heal that particular item. Because we heal in stages. We don't heal the body all at once. We heal in stages. And at every stage, the cells are being replaced, regenerated, reformatted to the origins that we came into this world with. And then we go from there. And like I said, it's in stages and it moves. So to say that we're 100% healed would be like, not yet. So when another layer presents itself, we just have to tune in and listen and then move forward. Don't get down. Don't get dejected and say, hey, I thought I'd deal with that. You dealt with another aspect of it. Now it's surfaced again, so you can go deeper down to the core. So when we go and we see deeper and deeper and deeper, and it gets less and less, and it will require that much more to heal, but the healing would be intensified tenfold.
It's such a good, you guys are giving me so much to think about. And I'm going to change the subject a little bit because I just, you guys just said it perfectly about healing and healing in stages and being compassionate with yourself. But first, I want to talk about how both of you can help people do that. So let's talk about that. Now, if I was technologically savvy enough, this will be on YouTube. You're watching it on YouTube, which hopefully I was able to do that. And if you are, I had figured out the other day, Tracie saw that I was able to do captions. So if I'm able to do captions, you are looking at Delsol and his website and Tracie and her website. If you are on audio, then I will have everything in the show notes. Now, if you are looking online, you'll see that Delsol's website is intuitive-soul. That's SOL.com. And then we have Tracie Shannon. Tracie is spelled TRACIE, Shannon.com. And why I want to point this out at this time is because these, again, spiritual humans are incredible healers who I have gone to personally to help me with my spiritual needs. And if you're someone like me where you're dealing with, for example, an autoimmune disease and you need help with those layers of healing, how to remove blocks, how to go deep into your heart, how to accept, I want you to definitely take a look at these websites. So first, before we go into what I want to go into as the last topic, and you guys are okay to stay for 15 more minutes?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Delsol, would you please tell us about what you do?
Wow, that's expansive.
It is.
When an individual comes to me, there there's layers, and we look at the general overall what needs healing. It could be the ideologies, it could be just losing the old nomenclature of what needs to, but deep down within, there are portals within us that we have blocked over time. And I assist individuals with reopening those portals so they can access information for themselves, so they can tune in and begin to learn how to traverse their own energetic fields to obtain information so they can heal, they can progress, they can begin to remember more about themselves and their place in the universe. So it's taking them back to their origins, because we all have an origin story that brought us here through space and time. And it's taking them back, maybe it'd be a time when they experienced perfect health, to a time when they used a specific gift to obtain or manifest things that they want or things that they need to do, or bring forward their innate abilities that they didn't even realize that they had. So it's an all encompasses, like, okay, what's your totality? I can see, I can tell you, but the journey is to discover that on your own. And I'm there to help and assist. I like I like to assist. I love watching stars being born again.
Oh, that's beautiful. Well, I have had services done with Del Sol and multiple times, and it's only helped me more and more. And when Del Sol talks about healing, you do it with light language, which is so healing. And also, when we talk about healing for both Tracie and Del Sol services, that can mean anything in your life that needs healing. So I want to clarify with that. So that could mean health, that could mean money, that could mean finances, career, relationships with other people, how to be more creative, how to relate to other people, whatever needs healing in your life. That's what we mean by healing. So yeah, and I highly recommend the heart activation session you do, because that's so cool. You go into light language, and it's just really deep, you guys, and it sets you on another level, and Del Sol's energy is off the charts. So I will say that. Let's move on
Thank
to
you.
Tracie. Yeah, of course. Tracie Shannon, please tell us about your services.
Well, I am a medium and an animal intuitive. So I work both with humans and animals, and sometimes together, sometimes individually. Sometimes people come to me for just themselves. Sometimes people come to me for themselves and their animals. So I work with people in assisting them in understanding that they have really total control over their lives and what is happening within their lives. And I help them basically through the use of their guides, their ancestors, their loved ones, multidimensional beings, the energy of the earth. It all comes in to assist people in understanding that they have everything that they need within themselves. All I do is I work with them to help them dismantle the old stories that they have been carrying around. And as Del Sol was saying, I don't do the work for them. So I work with them to help them realize that they have all that they need within them. They just needed a little bit of guidance. And sometimes that guidance is so incredibly profound that it creates a paradigm shift in the person's life. And they release old habits, old ways of being, old ways of talking to themselves and others. And they realize that a life can be so much more joyful if they allow themselves to ease into a new way of thinking. And when I work with the animal kingdom, it's in a completely different way than with other animal communicators I've worked with. And
Yep.
great about what we do is we provide services to people in exactly the moment when they need that service. So there are going to be times where I'm going to be perfect for other people, and there are going to be times when other animal communicators work better, So I find that with the work that I do, it's really deep, and it's about how the animals see themselves in conjunction with the human and what the human needs to see differently when it comes to the animals. Because the animals have such an incredible awareness of why they're here on this earth, and with each human they interact with, whether it's a wild animal or domesticated, it doesn't matter. Whether it's birds or insects or fish, every single being from the elemental and the animal kingdom have something to offer. And I also work with the fairy realms as well. So it's really a multi-dimensional type of service that I offer. And I have no idea what's going to show up for the person that I work with or with the animal that I work with. And that's the beauty of it. I can go in having no expectations because I don't know what's going to happen. And a lot of times I am deeply moved by the loving messages that come through for people and for the animals and from the animals. So it's a beautiful, healing, gentle way of moving through a session. And sometimes it takes multiple sessions, and sometimes it just takes a couple. So it really depends on the person and what they're looking for. So it's a just incredible, expansive way for me to sit in the energy with these people and with these elemental kingdoms and animal kingdoms.
So I have used Tracie multiple times as an animal communicator. Oh, hold on. My battery's running low. I thought I had this computer plugged in. I'm like, oh, shoot. Hold on, guys. Hold on. Sorry. Okay, that was weird. I thought I had the computer plugged in. Okay, it's plugged in. So anyway, I have worked with Tracie. Sorry about that, guys. I have worked with Tracie multiple times, and she has come over and helped me with my animals, and it's been incredible every single time. I've learned so much about myself and what my animals are trying to tell me. And I've just worked with Tracie through a starseed workshop as well. So I've seen her mediumship skills and her people skills. And again, she is amazing. So you definitely want to take a look at both of these people. And I also want to say about both Delsol and Tracie, you both work online. So if you live in Australia, or if you live in the middle of Timbuktu and you have the internet, fine. Especially for the animals. People think that Tracie needs to be there right in the same room with the animals. Not at all. Not at all. So she can access that energy. Correct, Tracie, even from across the world.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Okay, so definitely don't let distance deter you, because they both work online. And I'll tell you something, as someone who's had a lot of spiritual, I'm just going to use the word coaches here, spiritual coaches, I have to tell you that doing it online, I receive the same amount of energy. I receive that same, it's the same as being in person for me. So don't think that because it's online, you're not going to receive that same energy or vibration or whatever. That's absolutely untrue, because everything's done metaphysically. In fact, tomorrow I am getting an energy healing from an energy healer in Moscow, Russia. So we're going to see how that goes. That should be interesting. All right. So the last thing I just want to say, we have 6 minutes left, so we'll keep it brief. I said to them, oh, this will be a 20-minute conversation, but it's turned into an hour because they're so good. I can't help that they're so good. The last thing I want to say, and again, I'm going to read this again, our topic today. I align with my vibration to the energy, and so it simply flows to me. Now, something I've been hearing over and over, especially in regard to media, especially in regard to if you want to put out your own book, if you want to put out, be on a reality show or be on TV or something like that, that nowadays you have to stop with the idea of the gatekeeper. Because the way I explain it metaphysically is that we are moving deeper into the realm of, or the era of Aquarius. And in that, what happens is this idea of authority starts to fall. And the idea of equality becomes more prevalent. So we can see that with Black Lives Matter. We can see that with Me Too and all of these movements that are coming out, which is a good thing, right? So with regard to that, I think it's fascinating when the first part of this, I align with my vibration, is we don't have to look to these gatekeepers anymore. And social media is proof of that, right? People are getting picked up off of Instagram. People are getting picked up off of YouTube. I mean, a famous example is Justin Bieber. He got his career because of YouTube, because I think it was Usher. Someone saw him on YouTube. So we are now able, as metaphysical people, as intuitive people, as people who want to come forth, because we are being called to come forth more in society, in humanity, and to lead, that don't be deterred by, oh my gosh, I have to get this publishing deal from Random House, or I have to get on Bravo, or I have to get on CNN. You can create your own opportunities, and that's what the world is moving towards. So I just wanted to ask what you both think about that, and if you think there's something in that and our topic today. So whoever wants to go first.
Go for it, Delsol.
There is a lot to say about that, because over the last 2 years, the movement that I needed to be seen by others so that others will have their own discernment to come forward. So when we come forward and we expand on our own light, it allows others to do the same. So we're like the pioneers of,
yes,
you're no longer going to work from the shadows. People need to see you. And that was the scariest thing for me, to actually come out, hey, this is me and this is what I do, because that's holistically part of me, of my totality. And I only showed that to people who I trust. But now that is no longer the case, because we're being called to the forefront.
Yep.
Because people are going to need answers. And I'm going to say this, and I'd like to everybody and the listeners in this now moment to really open your heart and really feel. Etoro tonji ate katawata shineheto oton sarai si ish un turi kate terehasha sanai to osh I an turu un si ate. The time of the new vibration and frequencies are upon us, and we're being called. And a great many of us have answered the call, and here we are. Here we stand.
Tracie?
Yeah, I love that. I love that. It's so incredible. I agree. We are absolutely being called to do this work and do it publicly so that people can remember who they truly are and get back to the essence of who they are and why they're here. And I feel like we give them permission to allow themselves to be seen. I think so often people are afraid to be seen for who they truly are because there's so much judgment going on, and you can be so quickly and easily criticized, especially on social media. I feel it's really important that for me, I help people understand, and we touched on it a little bit, that the mind, the ego, and I'll use those interchangeably, the mind has the ability to transform itself. We just have to remember that it's this amazing processor that lives within us. And it's a receptor, it receives, it amplifies, it does so much. And one thing, if anyone can take something away from this, it's important to think about the idea of allowing your mind to transform itself into a spiritual processor and allow it to work with the soul, in conjunction with the soul, with the higher purpose. So you can have the trifecta of the mind as a spiritual processor, the soul, the higher self, it all coming together as one, so that each individual can be led by the frequency of the highest good, so that people can live the best life for themselves. And that will ripple out from there into the collective, into humanity, into the universe.
Delsol, Tracie, I couldn't have said it better myself. That the wisdom you gave us today is absolutely beautiful. Delsol, thank you. By the way, Delsol was speaking light language when he was speaking before, so I just want everyone to understand what he was speaking. And light language is something that if you can connect to it, it's the language of the soul. So your soul will understand it. And that which he was speaking, Delsol, that is the message that you individually take to you. So I just wanted to say that I love you both. I don't say that enough. And you are both magical humans that I so look up to, and I am so grateful that you're in my life, both of you. And you're such special people that, you know, you have been my gifts of whenever I met you, whatever that year was, Tracie. I don't remember, but, you know, Delsol, I think I met you last year. That sounds about right. So, yes. You know, you are my gifts, and I truly treasure and value our friendships and our relationships. And I am just hoping you will come back and speak to us more, because you are the leaders, and we need to hear from you. We need your guidance. We need your honesty. We need everything that you need to offer, or that you have to offer. So I just wanted to say I'm honored and thank you. And yeah, and just all I want to say to the listeners, if you're listening to this, you know I need those Apple Podcast reviews. So definitely 5-star reviews only, right? 5-star reviews only, and 5-star rating and review. And then if you're on YouTube, please subscribe to this channel for more metaphysical table talk, and also like this video and comment below, because I'd love to hear some of your comments. And if you have questions for Tracie and Delsol, we'll get them back. Yeah, we'll lure them back. So, any last quick thoughts from Delsol and Tracie before we end?
Just
thank you for having us here both. It is an honor to see you and meet you, Tracie. And I look forward to coming back and learning from both of you. Amazing. Thank you so much. It's been an amazing experience. Thank you.
I echo Delsol's sentiments and am so grateful to be here and grateful to have been invited to do this. And it was a pleasure meeting you, Delsol. It's so much fun to sit and talk with two other very metaphysical people. And Jennifer, thank you so much for this opportunity. It's just truly, truly incredible. So thank you.
You are welcome. And until next time, live your life 2 inches off the ground.